Ladies and gentlemen, we have become a nation of useful idiots. What do I mean by that? Well, today you are in luck. I will break down for you just what today's Democrats are doing to monopolize the mindset of our nation with their mass movement of people who look to revolutionize American society and in the process, destroy our republic and its livelihood, and most importantly, its people. I'm your host today, Eric Wright, and you are listening to the Closet Conservative Podcast. Folks, if you have not obtained a copy of Mark Levin's new book entitled American Marxism, I encourage you to do so. Many of you know Mark Levin, host of his own show on Fox News and a 6-time #1 New York Times best-selling author whose new book now tops the bestseller list and has sold more than 400,000 in hours of its release. And folks, I cracked open this conservative and collective masterpiece to conclude that Levin is spot on, darn near everything unfolding in today's liberal-led counter-revolutionary culture. While I do not want to take away from his work, nothing that Levin mentions in his book is rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. But what is paramount is the dangerous politicking performed by today's radical left and their mass movement ideology setting our country up for total disaster. In Levin's book, he mentions that the left concentrates on the weak and the disenfranchised, the fringes of society for whatever reason either cannot or will not act or think for themselves and in turn run from accountability and responsibility. I've said this many times. Today's Democrats have determined that they can mold these individuals into a mass mob to subdue and undo the very fabric of freedom established by our nation's founding fathers. Today, many in our nation desperately want to be a part of something much bigger than themselves, no matter the cause. Sense of self means nothing, and rather than taking a stand for individuality, today's liberal mass movements mandate obedience to the reason and in turn end up stripping the identity of its membership. You are either all in or you are not, and if you are not, hell have no fury like a liberal scorned. Look around. Many Americans are in awe of the immediate rise of the counterculture in our country, from ANTIFA to BLM to now the surge of cancel anything conservative related mainstream today by all liberal-infested markets. From media to schools and universities, today's revolutionaries have one goal in mind: to destroy everything that has made our nation great and to replace it with a failed Marxist system that will never work and has never worked across the globe for centuries. Today's Democrats know that even though they have substantial political influence and power, they need the help of the desperate and the disenfranchised to act upon and to disseminate their crap across this country. Enter the useful idiots. The liberal-fascist foot soldiers plucked in place for a purpose within these United States, whose aim is to brainwash and indoctrinate current and future generations of warped-minded minions that will carry on their anti-conservative culture. Folks, listen to me. Many Americans today are indeed lazy, feeble-minded, and want something for nothing or a lot for nothing. They want pay raises for no increase in productivity. They want free college. They want free health care. They want free housing. They do not care how they receive these benefits, though. And for that, today's Democratic Party has promised to pacify, guaranteeing and giving the grumbling anything and everything that they want but have not earned. And what is most frightening is liberals will spend into the oblivion to give their people what they want, no matter the financial cost or ramification. Countless studies have been performed that outline just what I have been saying for years, and what Mark Levin details in his new book. Many Americans, but especially young people, will do anything for fame, and that includes lack of shelter and financial stability, and even risking the death of their own family. And if you don't believe me, check out the countless Pew studies conducted just last year that prove this claim. Folks, Democrats know this and have masterfully manifested mass movements and subcultures to include and invite every fringe member of society whose wants exceed their worth. By duping the dumb and the ignorant into a massive campaign of useful idiots is the new Democratic Party way. Just listen to some of the comments made by liberal legislators and governors today across the country. The government will do this for you and do that for you is the today Democrat Party mantra. But even Democrats know they cannot fulfill these promises. They're empty, folks. And rather than admitting that liberal lies to their movement members, they ignite further debate amongst the group, continue to demand teetotal obedience and allegiance, dare anyone to break ranks or criticize the collective. Suddenly, members of the masses lose their identity and almost willingly walk cluelessly into the mist. The cause, the group, and the party mean more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Marxism. Look at past and present dictatorial and totalitarian regimes. Allegiance to the party is mandatory. China, Cuba, Iran, Iraq, North Korea, Russia, and yes, I hate to say, because that is a dead beating horse, Nazi Germany organized their revolutionary movements in identical ways. First, the party invites. It immediately but uses force and tactics to get what they want. They demand that party members obey and act upon the frenzy and fanaticism created by the party leaders. And before long, folks, self-respect and discipline vacate the minds of the party membership. And before long, nothing, and I mean nothing, is too radical. Desperate people will act desperately, and if not controlled, will create laws to restrict people, fences to house them, and killing fields and crematoriums to murder them. The Democratic Party, led today by Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and AOC and other members of the squad, do not care about anyone other than themselves. They even include the fanatical, the mindless minions of their mass movements, organizations of ANTIFA and BLM. They do not care about universal health care. They do not care about abortion. They do not care about gun rights, for if they had, they would have fixed these issues long ago. Today's hot button issues are just what Democrats want. Deceive, divide, but eventually conquer. And before their mass movement membership or others across the country realize exactly what's going on, they're left lied to and defenseless to stop the communist cog machine that will rape our republic, its citizens of our individuality, and ultimately our freedom. Folks, I'll leave you with this. How long are you willing to wait before it's too late? You have been listening to the Closet Conservative Podcast.